nights. Interesting. Keep that. Anything else? What are these ones here? As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this woman's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. Okay. We reach out for the soul then. You see a woman emptying her satchel onto her bed, taking stock of her inventory. Potions, bandages, tinctures, and herbs are scattered throughout her room haphazardly. She bites her lip, head tilted to the side, considering. She begins to repack, one item after the other. Careful deliberation undercut by shaking hands. Each item has a clearly marked place, but no matter how she repacks it, she isn't satisfied. The shaking worsens as she empties it out once more, one hand held to her mouth. Tears eke from her eyes as she gives up all semblance of order and shoves everything she can in the satchel, grabbing it and running out of the bare house. Straightening her back, she walks to the docks, chin high, her eyes hard and red. A gangly young elf offers his condolences, but she can't see him for the ocean ahead of her. She wanders the docks, offering her services as a doctor to any who will listen, anyone heading out on the high tide. Less than an hour later, she watches her childhood disappear in the distance, a tiny speck of an island, and tries not to jump. So we get... what was that? We get a...
Hey there.
a tiny glimpse of her past, or her soul's past? As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this man's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. We reach for it once again. You see a group of young men standing around a makeshift practice target. This man stands in the middle of them, explaining the construction and use of a bow. He holds it up, pointing out each part as he speaks about it and what it does. He then walks away from the target, telling them to remain where they are, and take his place about 200 feet away. He carefully lines up his shot, explaining what he is doing as he does, and lets the arrow fly. It hits the target dead center, much to the surprise and delight of the boys near it. He smiles, walking towards the boys, talking about proper stance and how to most effectively hold a bow. A noise comes from the tree line near their practice venue, and he stops, scanning the woods, blue eyes squinting against the sun. A shadow moves, making its way through the forest behind them. He draws an arrow and lines up the shot carefully, tracking the motion of the hidden creature. Losing the arrow, he wastes no time and quickly grabs another. The boys spin, watching the arrow fly into the forest, immediately lost among the trees. There is sudden, explosive movement in the undergrowth as a deer erupts from the tree line, running across the edge of the clearing. The boys laugh, turning to joke with the man about his lousy shot. They stop talking, seeing him holding the bow and leading the deer with a knocked arrow. They drop to the ground as he loses his last arrow, which flies through and strikes the deer right behind its shoulder, piercing heart and lungs, and dropping it dead almost immediately. The boys stare at the deer for a moment, for a few seconds, and then slowly turn to look at the man, newfound respect in their eyes. He smiles again and breathes a quiet sigh of relief. Oh, these stories are quite interesting, actually. So yes, we seem to be able, for some reason, to look into other person's souls, or at least have a peek at it. That's certainly a nice ability to have. For the last time, I don't know any dwarven drinking songs. Let's see, where... I'm from Lockholm. Ha! You were right, she does get rosy-cheeked when she's angry. Okay, little bits of... Oh, okay. We probably won't be able to open that one. What's in here though? 10 years of dawn. 10 years I tilled the Wallace leaf, and 10 years I told myself that living in St. Waitwen's footsteps would bring me rebirth. Each dawn I pray that if thou art in darkness, he shall bring the light, and yet each night would bring the same emptiness. For my decade of living as a simple dye farmer, all I have to show for is a great deal of purple clothing. Eothas has not spoken to us since he appeared as St. Waitwen. It was my hope that Eothas would claim me as his next vessel, but alas, the child of light remains silent. Every day I practice the ritual of banishing the shadows of the unfaithful, and every day I work my fields in solitude, without sign of Eothas returning. If thou art in darkness, he shall bring thee light. But how long must I remain lost in this long night of abandonment? Is this my punishment for keeping my faith a secret? Is Eothas hiding from me until I shout my reverence for all to hear? Surely he must know that the dear Woodens now hate him and his followers. My countrymen are quick to blame all that was terrible about the Saints' War on those of us still faithful to Eothas. Should they not be angry at the Riatsira soldiers? Do the dear Woodens not realize that to dismiss the God of rebirth and redemption is to prevent all hope of healing? As I pen these words, I know that I must continue to till the dye leaf. I will awake each day with hope. If thou art in darkness, he shall bring me light. Each day I will pray that the dawn stars visit me, just as they visited St. Waitwen in his field of Wallace. Will they come to me as they came to St. Waitwen? As a man and two women, luminescent and perfect, I am told they come to clear my throat here. I am told they come to presage new items. I am told many things, and I struggle to find the faith to believe it all. And yet, each morning the sun rises in the eastern sky, and each morning Eothas illuminates my simple plot of land, casting away the shadows of the unfaithful in his golden gaze. I thank thee, Eothas, for all the springs I've had, and all that will come. I am in darkness. Please bring me light. Interesting. Bit of trivia for, as it would seem, Eothas, the god of light. Ingus, he's named differently. Daslok Nayatep. You see a man soar through the air, hitting a nearby wall with a nauseating crunch. He doesn't get up. His attacker, a burly, clean-out warrior with a carnivorous grin, turns and shoves his fist even, into the stomach of another assailant, removing another from the impromptu brawl. The bar is a whirlwind of elbows, knees, fists and feet, with no end in sight, and he is in his element. In the corner, three smaller men speak quietly, throwing malicious glances at the larger man in the center. He breaks a chair over a tattooed head, cackling. The trio position themselves in three parts of the room, and with a terse nod they charge. Unfortunately for them, the man sees them coming. Something in his eyes burns brightly, and all three slump to the ground in an agony that's all in their minds. The burly man bows to a room of the unconscious and incapacitated before sauntering out, off-key, whistle trailing behind him. As you near, you feel a vibrant history. Yes, we know. You see an emaciated boy in chains, black holes for eyes, staring sightlessly at a wall. A man in a dark coat walks in, a scroll and an oddly shaped quill in his hand. The boy glances at him expressionlessly. The boy glances at him expressionless, a corpse waiting for animation. The man clucks at him, disapproval clear in his tone. The boy stands, limbs hanging. The man takes the quill and begins to write on the boy's chest, copying sharp, angular symbols from the scroll. The child doesn't flinch as the quill digs into his skin, drawing blood as it goes. The wizard finishes with a flourish and barks some arcane command, setting the symbols to glow dully. The boy cries out, knees hitting the stone hard, his chest burning black and red. Finally, the glow disappears, leaving only hard black scars etched into his skin. He slumps sideways, twitching eyes facing the back of his skull. The wizard grunts, kicking him on the leg on his way out. The boy lies on the floor until dawn, eyes still black like holes, the twitches growing into convulsive shakes. Shane shakes Merlion. Sila Amin. Or Sila. I guess it's Sila. Oh. You see a long, empty road cutting through two large crop fields. The air is silent, and the land seems too still for early afternoon. This woman walks slowly on the road, leading a horse, curiously looking around. She seems to sense something wrong, but is unable to discern what it is. She stops, sniffing at the air, her nose high. Her brow crinkles and she casts about, looking for something. The air is clear, no clouds. She sniffs again, still looking around, confusion clouding her face, mouthing a single word. Fire? She looks out across the fields, her confusion turning to fear. She holds her hand up to block the sun from her eyes and scans the field again. Not finding what she was looking for, she jumps onto her horse's back, the fear quickly becoming panic. She kicks, sending the horse shooting down the path, which bends around some trees to where the farmhouse should be. She pulls up short, horror now in residence on her face, as she stares at the burnt and charred mess that used to be her family's home. Tears well in her eyes as she kicks again, racing to the rubble. Three lockpicks. We have to get back here at some point. Oh, another book to read. The Deerwood, Part 1, Early Colonial History. First of all, those are 3 lockpicks. Yeah, I guess we still wait, yeah. The Deerwood, Part 1, Early Colonial History. No other land has such a wild and bloody recent history. From colony to palatinate to free republic, the Deerwood has undergone a trial by fire to emerge as a powerful force of the Eastern Reach. Deerwood's history actually begins in Edir in 2602 AI. Edir explorers returned from a journey across the ocean with tales of the treasures they'd found. They discovered countless ruins scattered through the forests, as well as plains to the north of the trees that would be perfect for growing walrus. There was a problem, however. The locals were hostile, and there was a potential for conflict. The Fairkoning of Edir, Fairkoning, first king, Fairkoning it is, first king, knew that this was too good an opportunity to pass up, and sent more explorers to scout and map the area. Exploration continued over the next 20 years. Small groups of explorers traveled back and forth between Edir and this new world, with a handful of colonists setting up small camps to establish a base for the explorers to work out of. Conflicts with the locals, who the Edirians learned are called the Glanfathans, were rare, but frequent enough for the Fairkoning to send a small squadron of guards to help protect his citizens. These guards established a central base on a river in the western section of the woods. This settlement would eventually become the city of Deerwood, upon which the modern-day village of the same name is presently built. Once that base was established, the first permanent adherent settlements began north and west of the Bale River. Over the next 3 years, thousands of adherents made the trek from Edir to this new land. The Glenfadhans, who seemed to revere the ruins scattered through the forest, caused a few problems with some of the settlements, especially those founded near the ruins themselves. These were easily taken care of by the colonists with the help of the Imperial Guard. The adherents, in order to further their foothold in the area, reduced the cost of production and, in an attempt to keep the Glenfadhan population under control, started making slaves out of any Glenfadhans captured during the uprisings. This resulted in a great increase in tension between the two groups. With the population of the area growing, an official governmental structure was established by the Fairkenning. He appointed several earls to preside over the land and assigned them thanes to help run their territory, and they called the new Grefram the Deerwood. Deerfoot remains the center for the Imperial Guard, but the settlement in Pearlwood Gulf, New Dunrid, was the true seat of power for the area, sitting at the edge of the ocean, forest, fertile farmland, and a river that runs from the coast to the White Marsh. Settlers flocked to the area, hoping to establish names for themselves. Edir began to spread across the new land. A bit of local history. Very, very interesting. I hope you, well, enjoy my readout as much as I do. If you don't, well, that's a shame, but I certainly won't stop doing them. What's this? These bones are covered in tiny bite marks, and there is a hound here, the black hound. This hound stares intently at the covered window, head cocked as if waiting to hear a particular sound. It looks up when you approach and whines a low note, tail wagging slightly. Sorry girl, don't think he's coming back. The dog whines softly again, head tilting. Well, you can come with me. Maybe we'll find him on the way. The dog's ears perk up. It trots over to you and barks happily. Oh, I gained a black hound. Item. Let's get him. Where's she? There. Oh, we got a pet. Now this leads outside, I believe. So we head back down for now and see if we can scrape up some gold to get our first henchman. Actually, should we take a rest? What's our quest log saying? Where is it? Where was it? That one. Journal. Visions and whispers. After surviving an explosion outside the ruins of Silent Liss, I experienced a vision. Since then, I've been hearing sound with no source and seeing things that aren't there. Seek help for your condition. Oh, there's something to loot here. Barath's Bell. Anything else? That's the smithy. Black Hammer Smithery. Ooh. Oh, we'd have to steal it. Ah. Well, oh, this one we can take safely. Probably more books. Yep. Daily affirmations of focus and efficiency. Ooh, what's this? Okay. You know what? You know what I will do? Now, there may be some of you who don't want to read me out every book I find, and I think it's best if I, well, shove a few extra episodes in, just for law reading, or book reading, as you'd say, and, well, leave it at that. I think that would be a good idea. It just would lighten up the actual gameplay and still provide those of you who want me read this out the opportunity even. Let's see what we got here. We got Harlan Orinson. You see a man crouching surreptitious and alone, a series of untamed shrubs, all that hides him from the vision ahead. His eyes are locked on a Dalamgan, beautiful and terrible, eyes half-lidded as she hums. A bird with fantastic blue and orange plumage sits on her shoulder, trilling gently, and the man is entranced, trembling tentative. He stands, and the tranquility is broken by the bird's startled quawk. The Dalamgan half smiles, beckoning him with twig-like fingers. What's a Dalamgan? It's probably some kind of a dryad? She does not speak as he approaches. His mouth is dripping sounds of awe and admiration. She waits, coy and tempting, and with agonizing slowness he is before her. Then something changes. She sees something hanging limply from his side and begins to hiss. Fingers suddenly claws and eyes black with hate. He has no time to reach for his axe or grimoire as she strikes, and just as soon as she strikes, she is gone. The only evidence of her existence, the shuddering wreck on the ground. He grabs at his grimoire, nevertheless, and begins to chant, but the words of magical language of his own imagining, scribbled in a maniacal shorthand, ring hollow, and the silence continues unbathed. He turns and shrugs at someone or something, but if there is something there, you don't see it. Okay. Dugan Steelcaller. You see a group of adventurers surrounded by a crowd of attacking Xorips. Xorips. This word. Xorips. This man is with them, seemingly unconcerned by the battle, even detached from it as he stands in the middle of his comrades, chanting, his expression bordering on elation. His voice is powerful and deep, booming out across the combatants as a rich counterpoint to the chaos of their fighting. With every phrase, the battlefield changes. His allies glow with a pulsing blue light, freezing the Xorips that surround them. A blazing pyre erupts from the ground, cutting and burning the creatures and sending them scattering. One of the falling Xorips suddenly explodes as three giant grubs crawl from its corpse and attack the remaining enemies. The man continues to chant, thoroughly enthralled in the joy of the moment. Finally, the creatures have been reduced to one. His allies stand back as the man approaches it. Still chanting, he removes his hammer and swings it at the Xorip. His phrase ends as the hammer connects with its head, punctuating the spell and bringing his song to an end. So that is a chanter, or at least, well, if we follow my theory that we see through the soul of this man to past lives. His soul, at least, at some point was that of a chanter. And yes, they are badass. Okay, let's have a word with the smith, Tuatanu. This Amor man is of an impressive build, towering above countertop. His skin is the dusky blue of the deeper oceans, and his thick arms boast corded muscle. Small ears frame a square-jawed face, coated in smeared soot and arcing black tattoos alike. He offers you a broad smile as you approach. "Welcome! You're the first new face I've seen in quite some time. What can I do for you?" Is this your shop?" "That it is. Been here near on 20 years now. Seen all manner of things over the years. Good luck and bad." Tuatano glances at the guard standing watch along the wall, but the Black Hammer smithery remains. What do you have here?" "You come to us at a strange time, I'm afraid. The stock's not what it used to be, but we've fine weapons and armor to offer yet. All forged right here at the Black Hammer." What happened?" "We just don't have the supplies. Been expecting the next delivery for near on a week now, and haven't seen sign of it. Have to expect they were hit by bandits. The road out east is crawling with them. Or my workers ran off with the wagon themselves. Maybe to make some coin." As if that lot would dare. He's right about the bandits. The dire situations in villages like this and the exodus to the cities has created far too many opportunities for unscrupulous sorts. Tuatano scratches his jaw, thinking, if you happen to be headed that way, maybe you could keep an eye out for my supply wagon, or my shipment at least. They'd be cutting through the Black Meadow, I expect. Only good road for it. As it is, most of our weapons go to His Grace, Lord Redrick. Tuatano glances at the nearby guard. That's as it should be, but it doesn't leave much for outsiders. We just don't have the iron. Where was the wagon traveling from? We sent the wagon up to New Hirma with weapons, and it swings around through Lockholm and the like to purchase supplies. Shortest route back is through the Black Meadow, and then north through the wilds. Tuatano shakes his head. Had a trader come through with word they'd made it to Lockholm, but haven't heard a thing since. Well, I guess I'll see them back safe and sound for a price. I'd appreciate you trying anyhow. You bring back supplies at least, and I'll have much more to offer you. A discount to start, and if you do find my workers, you give them a good smack upside the head for me.
Well met, friend.
Let's have a look at his wares. Azurai's Stiletto. The war of black trees brought hardship and suffering to many Glenfathans, but it bore special tragedy for its druidic orders, who were forced not only to endure the deaths of many friends and kin, but also the destruction of the lands they revered above all else. Among these was Azuraith, a young of 8, deeply troubled by the use of the elements to turn nature against the people of Ir-Glanfad, and wondering if he was seeing the last days of his people. Azuraith took to walking the endless stretches of burned-down forests in search of anything that might signal a reason or to hope. He found it in an old ironwood tree, thick and gnarled with roots that ran in waves through the ground as though they'd been woven there. It stood as it always had, though singed well up the side of its trunk now, while everything around it had been incinerated by the soldiers of Deerwood, leaving a wasteland 1,000 acres in every direction. Azuraith plucked a single branch from the old tree, making sure to express his profound gratitude. An accomplished organic artificer, Azraith reshaped the branch into a blade that would rival any made in a forge. He infused it with the strength of the elements, vowing never again to be at their mercy, and resolving that if the tree could endure, so too could he. In his hands the blade would find its way into the hearts of many soldiers who stood at the edge of forests with torches and barrels of pitch, and by the war's end he had saved many forests from the flame. When his years were drawing to a close, Azraith made a final pilgrimage back to the old ironwood tree, which still stood, and he laid the knife at its base, to be taken up by someone else in need of inspiration in dark times. On his way there, he was pleased to see that beneath the ashes that covered the forest floor, new life had begun to spring. Azraith's stiletto is unusual, as the entire weapon is dark red-brown wood. Even the blade, the magic used in its creation, hardened and protected the wood, preventing it from chipping or warping. Dark green vines and leaves sprout from it and wrap themselves around the hilt to form the grip. Okay. So it's piercing, so it pierces 3 DR and grants jolting touch on critical hit, 1 per encounter. Jolting touch being okay. 1 per encounter, target. And it jumps. Oh, that's a nice stiletto. Jaina's Lance. Oh, that's another mouthful. Yeah, we keep doing it. Not actually a proper lance, but rather a pike. The weapon was gifted to an Orlan maid, along with a goat, by her wizard master Cabrindo, who was forced to show her the door after a number of episodes of remarkable clumsiness and brash carelessness that had left his grimoire waterlogged and his laboratory in ashes. The gifts were all the soft-hearted wizard could do to snatch his guild. Wandering from place to place with only her goat, her pike, and a reputation for negligence that preceded her, her fortunes changed one day when she encountered a pair of soldiers trapped by a group of bandits. Too short to wield the pike properly, she instead climbed atop her goat and spurred it into the fray, leveling the pike like a lance and running one of the bandits through. Frightened and confused by the display and intimidated by Jenna's coarse language, the remaining bandits fled and the soldiers' lives were spared. Okay. Her actions earned her a commission with a local fort, and she served with distinction in the cavalry. The original experience had given her such pleasure that she always found a place at the front of any charge. Eventually, this took its toll, and she went missing after her unit was commanded to charge a group of trolls. Yeah, okay. We then got the Hold Wall, a unique arbalist. A masterwork of dwarven craftsmanship, this sturdy arbalist earned its name during the Battle of Marching Mountains, where a dwarven ranger held off a group of ogres, bearing down on him and his few remaining comrades. In the ranger's hands, the arbalist proved more than capable of launching bolts through thick ogre hide, holding the invading forces at bay just long enough for reinforcements to arrive. While victory against the ogres proved short-lived, the tale is still one told with great pride around dwarven campfires. Plus 20% attack speed, crits can inflict prone. Okay. Pike, maces, sabers, swords, outworn buckler. Friendly aura, 3 meters, plus 5 all defenses. Ooh. Oh wow, this has quite some history behind it. This simple wooden buckler would not be out of place in a pile of surplus training shields. Painted green, it has two black iron straps across its front that form a large X. It looks like it has taken more than its share of blows, and may have been in use for far too long. But far from ordinary, the buckler is in fact thousands of years old. Its preservation a testament to a transcendence of its humble creation. The buckler originally belonged to one of the founding members of the Dacosi Palladini when she was just a squire, thousands of years ago in the glory days of old Vaelia. As it accumulated damage from war and weather, the buckler became an extension of the paladin's own irrepressibility and protectiveness, as well as a symbol that inspired those in her charge. She wore it in every battle of her long and distinguished career, and though the paladin's name would eventually succumb to the ravages of time, the shield has yet to do the same. It is said the shield was so partial to its original master that it will allow none but a paladin of similar conviction to touch it, and in times of need it has a way of making it into the hands of those whose souls mirror the greatest qualities of the Dacosi founder. Only usable by paladin. Okay, that makes sense then. Ooh, minoring of deflection and a blunting belt. Deflection +5. Blunting belt +5 damage, slash and pierce. Damage reduction even. Cape of withdrawal +15 defense when disengaging. That could be useful for our mage here. Wizard even. Rope and grappling hook. We need that to scale the wall up north, right? And a pry bar. We don't need it yet. And let's not spend the money on it yet. Oh, it's costly though. It is costly. Do we do it? Not yet. Not yet. What else do we have to sell? We keep the books. Can sell a torch. Didn't we have... don't we have something of value to sell? I mean, really? Not particularly. Keep the axe? Maybe keep the axe. At least that's a bit more money. Nothing too fancy though. Okay, let's keep looking around the village. There's a villager. Another villager. What's here? Cow, 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 cow. Oh, there's something to loot down here. Beep, 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 beep. There's something here, but as well. And up there. Oh! That's the dwarf here? We know there's more grain in there, Trumbull. We won't settle for scraps while you grow fat on our crops. A muffled shouting emerges from inside the mill. The first of you drunkards come through that door gets a shot between the eyes. Goes hear me, Swainer. I'll put you down like a dog. Come away for now, lads. But we'll be back, Trumbull, and we'll have fair prices. Or by the flame, we'll have a reckoning. Okay, so there's trouble here. Let's see if we can lend a hand, maybe, and end this little dispute.